Okay, we back, everybody. I made it. I'm sure you were all worried. I'm sure you were all so worried that you wouldn't get your daily dose of technically clay. But you know what? I'm here. Shoot me through your veins. I'm right here. Okay, so I got a decent amount of personal news right now. So yesterday, you know, I went out canvassing for the Cory Bush campaign. That was fun. Talked to some people. I think I got at least a few people who didn't know who she was to potentially come on board or at least consider her in the primary, but we'll see. Um, so that was a new thing for me. I've never actually done that before. But it felt good to be somewhat more involved this time. Let's see. Other than that, so today while I was in the middle of my workout, which I did do today, I was doing leg day and I almost ended it early when this happened, but I ended up finishing. But I got a call from our vet who said that they had an opening for my cat earlier because she needed to have some surgery done. Um, it's probably cancer. We don't know for sure. They're sending it out to a lab. They took out the mass that was in her, and they're going to send it off and have some analysis done, but we're guessing that it's probably cancer, so she might have to go through a couple more surgeries. We think it's probably breast cancer, but she made it through, this first one just fine. She's back home safe and sound. She's currently isolated in our bedroom, hiding under the bed. So, but that's good. Always nervous, when there's very small chance that something can go wrong or whatever, and so we're just happy that she's back. Her name is Eevee, by the way, like the Pokemon. So, um, but yeah, anyway, yeah, like I said, I worked out as well today, which is good. Uh, and then after I picked up our cat, I went and got the junkiest of junk food, Taco Bell. So I'll be sipping my Mountain Dew here. It's not carbonated piss to anybody who might think that, because I know I sure did every time I look at it. Okay, well, you know what? I've been blathering on about myself. I'm sure everybody's like, get to the news. We don't give a shit about your cat. Shut up already. So, fair enough, hypothetical person that I am currently arguing with. So, guys, I got news for you. I got all the news. For some reason, I really don't understand it. The war was over. We already won. I don't really quite understand what's happening. But for some reason, Donald Trump seems to be asking a lot of our NATO allies to get involved with the war all of a sudden. And he doesn't seem too happy that they don't seem to be taking him up on that. So I think that's there. Well, we'll see what the questions that they ask, if our reporters will be capable of asking any good questions. It's always 50-50 at these press conferences. But we're gonna start with this video of President Trump taking some questions. I guess the Kennedy Center. I thought it was the Trump Kennedy Center. So Forbes, fake news. What are you doing? So this is by Forbes. Yeah, let's see what our big beautiful boy has to say to our media as they ask him some incredibly intelligent questions.
Please, Susie.
This is from 6 hours ago, by the way.
No place like the White House. Do we agree?
Agreed.
Right, Mr. Kraft? No place like the White House.
Ooh,
Thank you very
like
much
the
for
mac and
being
cheese?
here. Appreciate it. And
What are those?
we'll maybe discuss a couple of
Why do they have little things on their water? Little hats on their water? What's that for? I don't know.
general
Or is that just the glass? Sorry, okay.
topics. This is a
Doing it again.
board meeting for the Trump Kennedy Center, but we'll go into a couple of other things that we have the media present. It's always present, unfortunately.
Yeah.
constantly. And
Well, the
I'll
lion
say a few
news
words about what's happening in the Middle East. And if you have a couple of questions, we'll do that, and then we'll get on with our board
might take
meeting.
more than a couple, but we'll see.
So, thank you very much for
You're
being
welcome.
here. We have a wonderful group of very, very smart, talented patriots at this table. Our powerful military campaign to end the threats posed by the Iranian regime
Oof.
continued in full force over the past few days. They have been literally obliterated.
Oh,
The
literally.
Air Force is gone. The Navy is gone.
Air Force and Navy are gone.
Many, many ships have been
Like I've said before, I don't think Iran was particularly known for their Air Force and Navy, but thank you, Mr. President, for
sunk.
obliterating them.
They're warfighting ships, but I guess they didn't know how to use them. And anti-aircraft is decimated. Their radar is gone, and their leaders are gone. Other than that, they're doing quite well.
Well, you didn't talk
They've been
about their main thing, the main thing that they're known for. Their drones and their ballistic missiles. Those are like literally the only two things that like they're known for.
a terror for 47 years, and now I guess the world, through the United States, with the help of Israel,
Yeah, such a help.
is doing what should have been done many years ago. Should have been done many years ago. Since the beginning of the
Hey,
conflict, we've struck more than
Netanyahu's been trying for like 30 years now. You're just the first president to bite on it, so I don't know what that says really, but
7,000
some can
targets
infer.
across Iran, and these have been mostly commercial and military targets. We've achieved a 90% reduction in their ballistic missile launches and a 95% reduction in drone attacks. The missiles are trickling in now at very low levels because
Just a little trickle.
they don't have too many missiles left.
Hey,
We've
from what I can tell, though, Iran must have a pretty powerful stream because that little trickle is doing a lot of damage. Like they're getting through.
also attacked the manufacturing plants, where the places where they manufacture the missiles and the drones,
Yeah, I'm
and that's going
sure.
on today. We just hit 3 of them today. And it's getting very hard for them to manufacture. More than 100 Iranian naval vessels have been sunk or destroyed over the last week and a half. That has to be some kind of a record. Additional strikes continue to launch from
I'm
all
sure it
directions
is.
every single hour.
Someone get Guinness over there.
And as
I'm
you
sorry.
know, we attacked Carg Island and knocked it literally, destroyed everything on the island except for the area where the oil is.
Yeah.
I call it the pipes.
Okay.
So we left the pipes.
They left the pipes. Now, okay. This is something that is like why, right? Why did they specifically not target the the pipes as he says? And the like you don't really have to think that hard. It's because if you destroy the pipes, then they're the strait is going to essentially not be shipping oil for the like indefinite future, for months, if not years, while they, try and get it all set up again to be able to export from that region. And so then one must ask the question, why didn't he hit, or like what one must ask, like how does Iran view this, right? How does Iran view this move of just targeting the military assets? And my guess would be that they would say it looks like they're too scared to they're already economically constrained and they're too scared to raise the oil prices too much. i.e., our plan is working is probably how I would interpret that if I was an IRGC commander, which I assure you I am not. But but that's how I would have interpreted it.
We didn't want to do that, but that we will do that. We can do that on 5 minutes notice. It'll be over. But for purposes of
To be clear, I think we could. Like we could blow it up, but I don't think we're going to. Because if we did, it would send oil prices skyrocketing for the foreseeable future. Not just in if he wants this over in 4 to 6 weeks, which I don't really see happening, but if he does, then there's no that the oil prices would still keep raising after that if they destroyed all of that infrastructure.
someday rebuilding that country. I guess we did the right thing, but it may not stay that way. Just one simple word, and the pipes will be gone too. But it'll take a
The
long time to
pipes,
rebuild that.
not the pipes.
We are aggressively dismantling Iran's defense industrial base, and ability to rebuild its missiles and drone capability
I
is
don't think so,
getting.
man. I don't think so. I said this before, but they build a lot of this shit underground and they store it all underground. You can attack whatever manufacturing they do above ground, I guess, which it sounds like they're doing, or at least they're saying they're doing. um, they still have Russia and China shipping them stuff and I like Iran will be able to outproduce us in the end. Like a long war does not favor America. We produce like one missile interceptor a year. Like maybe it's not that low, like I can't remember it, but it is some absurdly low amount of missile interceptors per year that we build compared to like Iran's like thousands of drones that they build per year or whatever. Like even under sanctions, they were doing that. So, you know, but we can choose to believe or not our big beautiful president. Look at him. How could he ever tell me a lie?
Down to close to zero, and we're hammering their capacity to threaten commercial shipping in the Strait of Hormuz with more than 30 mine-laying ships destroyed. We hit, to the best of our knowledge, all of their mine-laying ships. Now they can put them on other types of ships, I guess,
Oh
and
no.
drop them in, but
Why
we
didn't
don't
you
know.
get those ships, Professor? Or not Professor, Donald, President, my president. Why didn't you get those ships
Know
too?
that any have even been dropped in. We're not sure that any have been. That's a big
They
negative for
haven't.
them if they do it. It's a form of suicide. But
I
we
don't
don't
think
know
they've
that
done
they
it.
have dropped any in. But
I assure you they still can, but I don't think that they've done it yet.
we've hit all 30 of their ships and destroyed them. They're all at the bottom of the sea.
With the
We
fishes.
strongly encourage other nations whose economies depend on the Strait far more than ours. We get less than 1% of our oil from the Strait, and some countries get much more. Japan gets 95%. China gets 90%. Many of the Europeans get quite a bit.
No, China doesn't get 90% of their oil from Iran, I don't think. China oil consumption by country. Now, where does China get its oil from? Yeah, they get 11%. 11, okay. That's what I thought. So China, it doesn't get that much of its oil from Iran. Now, 90% of Iran's oil is going to China. I think he just has his numbers mixed up. But China only gets 11% of it from Iran, and this is 2024, I guess, which I mean, I doubt it's changed that much or whatever. It only gets 2% from America, but 20% from Russia. It's very diversified in terms of where it gets its oil from. Oh, I guess maybe Saudi Arabia, maybe all of this added together. um, 10, 20, 35, like maybe 40. Okay, maybe the majority of it could be coming from that strait, I guess, if it's all like if all of this is added up, but it's still not 90%. But yeah.
South Korea gets 35%.
Also, China has a lot of green energy too, so, take that into account as well.
Many of the Europeans get quite a bit. South Korea gets
Europe gets
35%.
a ton.
So we want them to come and help us with the
Come and
strait.
help. What are you
We
waiting
have it
for?
in very good shape. The countries, I said, we've already taken care of Iran, but now, because of the fact that literally a single terrorist can put something in the water or shoot something or shoot a missile, a small missile, and it's fairly close range because it is a tight area, and
That's what I
which is
said.
one of the reasons they've
It's
always
too
used
tight.
that as a weapon. Iran has always used that as an economic weapon, and it's not going to be able to be used very.
Okay, all of that stuff is true. It is true. Europe depends very heavily on their oil. Japan depends very heavily on their oil. The strait is very, very near to Iran. It's a 20 to 30 kilometer strait right off its coast. It's not that hard to fire on just from Iranian territory or whatever. Um, all of this stuff though is things that you should have considered before before you decided to go to war. Like if you decide to go to war, then if they were going to close the strait, you should have had plans for that. If you were worried about that, then you should have known exactly what you would do to prevent that from happening. And like it really seems like you're caught with your pants down right now.
long. Numerous
The
countries
diaper
have
is
told me they're
exposed.
on the way. Some are very enthusiastic about it, and some aren't. Some are countries that we've helped for many, many years.
I haven't seen any
We've
enthusiasm.
protected them from horrible outside sources, and they weren't that enthusiastic. And the level of enthusiasm matters to me. We have
I have to assume he's talking about Europe, and he's saying like Russia was going to invade your countries or something, and we're out there sending arms to Ukraine. Like I think that's what he's going for. Um, but like to be fair, Europe doesn't benefit at all from our proxy war against Russia and Ukraine either. Like they already were in an energy crisis, particularly because we sanctioned the shit out of like Russian oil, which we're now taking back some of those sanctions so that to ease that cost of energy or whatever for the EU, because they can't really take any more supply shock from that. And so like I really think you kind of have it back. Like we're the ones kind of waging it. Like yes, Russia invaded Ukraine, but I think we're kind of the ones preventing any sort of end to the conflict or whatever. I guess to be fair, the Europeans are pretty like belligerent as well in terms of like saying no territorial concessions and all that sort of stuff. But um but I really think we're also playing a pretty big part as well in that. Um so yeah, I don't know. It's kind of like a like I don't really see that as us protecting them, and I doubt that their people, like their citizens, see that as us protecting them in some way, shape, or form, but who knows? Sure.
some countries where we have 45,000 soldiers, great soldiers, protecting them from harm's way. And we have done a great job. And when we want to know, do you have any minesweepers? Well, would rather not get involved, sir. I said, you mean for 40 years we're protecting you, and you don't want to get involved in something that is very minor? Very few shots going to be taken because they don't have many shots left.
They're saying
But
no to
they
Trump.
said, we'd rather not get involved. I just want the fake news media and everybody else to remember that that was said because when I've been a big critic of all of the protecting of countries because I
Hey,
know
me
that
too.
we'll protect them. And if we ever needed help,
Well,
they won't be there for us.
that's not the reason that I don't like NATO. I don't like NATO particularly because it's a protection racket. Like it is, we are saying that we will protect you, and then you all you have to do is lose all of your sovereignty and become vassalized to the United States. And I don't like that because I think it honestly it makes us become even more belligerent and more evil over time. Um, and so like that's kind of my particular reason. It also I don't necessarily think keeps people safe really, and also we're kind of running into like the limits of U.S. power here, where people, I'm assuming NATO allies are going to start looking at this and being like, yeah, maybe they're not going to be able to protect us if they're, struggling this much with just opening the strait or whatever. So, because they've all completely and totally outsourced all of their defense to us in particular, which then gives us this like world police role, which then leads to us like imperially like going into countries and like doing a bunch of shit and nobody being able to counterbalance us and stuff. So that's my main problem with NATO. I think to some extent there's a little bit of overlap, I think, with what Donald Trump is saying here, but I think that mine's from a more his is from like a selfish perspective of like we do this, we should get more for it or whatever. Mine's from more of an anti-imperial perspective. But you know what, Trump, if this ends NATO, which I really hope it does, then like hey, I'm more for it. If this both ends NATO and completely takes out the idea that America is going to protect any of its client states in the future except for Israel, like that is a win-win in my book. Bring on the multipolar world, the Chinese century of prosperity. Let it come sooner rather than later, and then maybe once people have to balance interest between multiple superpowers, then maybe uh, America won't be able to go in and just fuck with every country that it feels like.
Just known that for a long period of time, just like I knew about the Strait, that it would be a weapon, which I predicted a long time ago. Predicted all of this stuff. You guys were very generous in that. I
They told
predicted
you.
all of it. I predicted Osama bin Laden would knock out the World Trade Center. I made that prediction
Did
a
he?
year before he did it. I said, you better get him. He's a bad guy. I watched him be
Sure,
interviewed
maybe
one
he
time,
did.
and
I
I
don't
said,
know.
that's a bad guy. You better get him. 1 year before, exactly. I wrote it in a book. You can even check about a year before the World Trade Center then came down.
Hey, so did the Simpsons,
President Clinton actually had a shot at him, and he didn't take it. Unfortunately, I'm not blaming him for that, but he didn't take it. And he ended up knocking down the World Trade Center, but I predicted that too. I predicted a lot of things. We strongly encourage other nations whose economies depend on the Strait for blood. I mean, you know, these people literally need it. 95% of their energy or their oil comes out of the Strait. And
Well, when it comes to China, at least, if he's bringing up that 95% number again, Iran has already said that China can go through. Like, in fact, they said any non-allied, like people unallied with America, are allowed to ship through the Strait of Hormuz. So, like, I don't think they're really that concerned if you're talking about China. Now, Europe, they might be seen as collaborating with America because they kind of are to some extent. So they might not be able to ship through there, but China certainly will.
they should be in here very happily helping us. And it's incredible. We have such great. We're number one in oil by double now. We drill, baby, drill. We're double any other nation, and it's going to be soon triple any
Drill,
other
baby,
nation.
drill.
And that doesn't include Venezuela, who's been
We'll
great.
produce
By the
all
way,
the oil.
the relationship with Venezuela has been fantastic. Millions, literally millions of barrels of oil.
He's thinking back to Venezuela. He's like, man, why couldn't this have just been like that? Why couldn't this have just been like that? Ugh,
Are being taken out,
poor
and
Donald.
it's been a great help, and it's been to their great benefit. The president has done a really good job. We get along with him really well, but we've taken out millions of barrels of oil and brought to Houston and other places for to the refineries. We have refineries set up specifically for that.
Okay,
And it's been a
let's
great,
speed
it's
this
been a
up,
great
Donald.
relationship.
Get back on script.
More and more is happening. It's a tremendous oil source, and we're getting, we're stepping it up very rapidly.
Come
The
on.
big companies are
Papers
going
down
in,
here. Keep reading.
and
I
they
think he's
will
done.
actually numbers in a pretty short period of time. Numbers that they've never been able to do, we'll be doing. There's a lot of oil under that land. We strongly encourage the other
Okay.
nations
There we
to
go.
get involved with us and get involved quickly and with great enthusiasm.
Not happening.
I have that from a number of them, and I'd like.
Okay. Well, we learned a little bit there. Maybe not. I don't know. I think, he seems a little bit sad, a little bit butthurt that all of his best friends that he's protected so gracefully over the years, um, and they're just denying them. It's like when you simp for your e-girl so hard. You simp for them so hard, and then they announce to their community that they got married or whatever, and you're like, what the fuck? That's how Trump's feeling right now. He's feeling like a little simp. But okay, well, let's see. We're gonna watch this one next.
President Trump.
I just want to make sure this isn't the same video, which it doesn't look like it is. Okay, no. Okay, so this is so we saw Trump right there being a little bit sad. He was saying that everybody, all of our EU allies, they need to jump in enthusiastically. Um, so this video is called Trump issues an ultimatum to NATO over Strait of Hormuz. Very bad future. Very bad future. Um, I said already that yeah, fuck NATO. Like let's get rid of it. It sucks. If there's one good thing that comes out of this, along with America's capability of projecting force across the world, like being completely and utterly destroyed, seeing as it's unable to protect any of its allies except for the one true ally, which is Israel. Um, I I think that the other great thing will be if NATO just goes away entirely, and other countries have to finally start looking elsewhere for their world police, their world policemen or whatever. So let's go ahead and check in with our friends over at Fox News. Completely unbiased, gotta love them. Let's see what they have to say. This is Trump issues ultimatum to NATO over Strait of Hormuz. Very bad future. Let's go.
President Trump also sending a direct message to NATO, warning allies could face a, quote, very bad future if they don't help reopen the Strait of Hormuz and deal with the Iran threat. Here to weigh in is U.S. Ambassador.
But what very bad future? First of all, we're not able to protect our allies, clearly. The Gulf states are fucked right now. But also, like, is this a threat? Like, is he saying we're going to invade you NATO countries if you fail to assist? What are you going to do? What are you going to do to force them to go do this? Are you going to put more tariffs on them, Donald Trump? Are you going to tariff them even harder? Like, what are you going to do? Like, I really have no clue I mean, I guess they probably would be scared of NATO collapsing or whatever, but I think that, they also have to be looking at it as like, yeah, can the United States even protect us at this point? So.
To NATO, Matt Whitaker. Mr. Ambassador, thank you so much for joining us. Here is the exact quote from the president yesterday. It's only appropriate.
I always love this, though. The Star of David on the American flag. I'm like, they're just rubbing it in, man. They're just rubbing it in.
Thank you so much for joining us. Here is the exact quote from the president yesterday. It's only appropriate that people who are the beneficiaries of the strait will help to make sure that nothing bad happens there. If there's no response or if it's a negative response, I think it will be very bad for the future of NATO.
Yeah, get rid of it.
The difficult question, forecasting your boss. But what do you think the president means by that?
Well, first of all, let's set the facts straight. The Iranian regime continues to threaten global trade and energy security by blocking the Straits of Hormuz and only letting certain traffic go through. There are a lot of folks that benefit. The United States of America is a net energy exporter. We have plenty to supply our own country. And so this is
all
about
get
other
the same
countries,
talking
including
points,
China,
man.
including our NATO allies that receive oil and gas from the Gulf.
Hey, China's still getting it, dude. They're still shipping oil to China. Don't you worry. China's still getting its oil.
And ultimately, that security of the Strait of Hormuz is in their interest. And so he is absolutely right to suggest that our allies...
Why? Why is it in their interest to help the United States, like, in this instance? They're still getting oil from Iran. Chinese ships are coming through Iran is exporting oil to China. Like, why would they? And then also, like, the rest of the Western allies that are antagonistic to China are being screwed over by this whole thing. Why on earth would China get involved in this whatsoever? This is every single aspect of what is happening right now is beneficial to China. Like, why would they? That's stupid.
Need to help us and support our efforts in making sure that the Iranian regime no longer has ballistic missiles, Shahed drones,
they'll get it.
Developing a nuclear weapon. And
every speck of gunpowder. They're going to get every single speck of gunpowder on the great state of Iran. They'll never be able to produce a single, like, they won't even be able to make fire, I guess, after this, is what they're saying.
All of these things add up to a fact that this should be the whole world. Our allies, our friends, folks that benefit from the energy in the Gulf, coming together and sending a clear message that the Iranian regime can no longer get away with this.
Well, speaking of that,
why aren't they?
Financial Times.
He looks so sad. Why aren't they doing it? Why aren't they doing it? Aw, why aren't they doing it?
Is
Come
also
on.
reporting that Italy and France have contacted Iran to try and arrange passage for their ships.
Hell yeah,
While
brother.
President Trump is trying to create this coalition.
Get fucked, America. I'm sorry. That is so funny. They're like, yo, Iran, can we you mind if we get through there? Like, that's such a fuck you to America. That's hilarious.
Against Iran. How does the U.S. view that?
What are you going to do about it?
Well, it's a sign of weakness. You know, President Trump has made NATO stronger, has encouraged our NATO allies to do more, to spend 5%.
Dude, they're all looking at you. They're being like, what the fuck are you going to do about it, bitch? What are you going to do about it? United States, what the fuck are you going to do about it? Seriously. If I were France, that's what I would be thinking. Like, I would be like, yo, Iran, we're going to ship through this. We're not going to be involved whatsoever. You know, just let us through. We'll be on our way. We won't help whatsoever. And then start getting oil from them. And then in closed doors, like where America can't see me, I'd be like, what the fuck is America going to do about it? Like, seriously.
And on their defense. And we need strong, lethal European allies, plus Canada, to address their own conventional defense and allow them to project power. I mean, remember, the United States of America right now is the global superpower. We are the ones that can do these types of efforts. But at the same time,
we can just call it, right? Like, we could just say China is now, right? Like, I mean, I know that we have a like bigger and stronger military or whatever, but like, come on, like really.
we had allies that were equally strong, that could bring real capabilities like warships to the fight, that would make us all stronger and make us be.
Hey, I don't disagree. I don't disagree that they should have their own militaries and they should, do like, but I don't view it as in terms of like they should be doing that so that they can help us. I'm saying that in terms of they should do that so that they can be independent of us and they aren't vassalized by us and they don't have to follow along with all the stupid shit that we do like this. That's the reason that I want them to do it.
Be able to defend our people even better. And so, that's what we're pushing here at NATO. And every single day I get up and make sure that that's the path we're on.
Okay, so the president also said when it comes
because okay, there's a reason. There's a reason that all of them got rid of their militaries. And it's not just that it was like bad, like they didn't do it like, I don't know, like out of the goodness of their hearts or something, or like they didn't become over reliant on us like strategically necessarily. It was a mutually beneficial thing where if we control all of the power and all of the arms and all of the ships in the world and we say, hey, like through NATO, we say, hey, we will be there to protect you or whatever, and like all you have to do is pay some percentage of your GDP or whatever to NATO, then that is good for us because then they have become vassalized and then they have to go along with everything that we say. When we go up, for instance, and protect Israel on the world stage over and over and over at the UN, they all feel like they are compelled to come along with us. These aren't things that are like, it's all interconnected and stuff, and there's millions of like individual parts that are all playing into this, but all of them kind of coalesce into this like vassalization of the European Union countries where they are not able to ever stand up against the United States. And so it would be beneficial for them to have more sovereignty, to have more of their own military capabilities, at the very least as a bloc or whatever. I would say maybe not Germany. Germany doesn't need those weapons that they're rearming pretty hard right now. And, I have a feeling I know what side of history they're going to be on if they decide to jump into a war anytime soon. But yeah, I don't know. It was mutually beneficial for America to have this agreement where we have all of the guns and we have all of the ships and we have all of the planes and stuff, and everybody else has none of that, because then we get to just control all of these other countries diplomatically.
Strait of Hormuz, that he may delay his trip to China. That trip's supposed to happen at the very tail end of this month.
Oh, I'm sure they're crying
China,
about that.
Which is a huge beneficiary of oil coming.
You mean we don't have to talk to this fucking bozo for another couple weeks? Hell yeah, that's what I would be saying if I was top G.
From the strait doesn't help secure that waterway. So we're talking about China now, and China helping what the United States wants to do. But also take a listen to what the Iran foreign minister said yesterday regarding both China and Russia.
Russia and China are our strategic partners, and we have had close cooperation in the past, which is still continues, and that includes military cooperation as well with these two countries, politically, economically, even militarily.
Yeah.
To
They're their allies.
say once again that this is not our war.
Okay, so if China is Iran's strategic partner, then can we anticipate China helping secure the strait?
Why? Why would they?
Well, remember what that means. A strategic military partner means that Iran and I guess China are trying to kill American troops. That's very bad for China. That is not a good look.
What? I mean, I don't necessarily think that that's what it means. I think it means that they're going to support their strategic partner, like from getting destroyed by this war of aggression that America is forcing upon the world. Like, I don't really think that it means that they want to kill American troops any more than I think Iran wants to kill American troops. Iran wants to kill American troops because American troops are attacking them. But if American troops had never attacked them, then they wouldn't have wanted to kill them. You know, like, I don't know. That's just silly.
And
Silly.
President Trump and President Xi are going to have to get together and work this out because ultimately, we cannot have a world where hostile forces, including Iranian forces, are trying to do damage and injure and ultimately try to kill American troops. And so,
hey, this is gonna blow your mind. I have a solution for you. My solution is take all of your troops here. Like here's Iran. Take all of your troops from here and move them all the way over here. Take all of your troops that are right next to Iran and just move them all the way back to the United States. That's a crazy solution. Like, that's a really crazy solution. All the troops that are near Iran, just move them outside of the range of those ballistic missiles, and boom, nobody ever dies. Like,
we need to push back every single day. China is benefiting from cheap Iranian oil. Those days are ending because President Trump saw that it was no longer tolerable what Iran was doing by pursuing a nuclear program together with the ballistic missiles that they employ. And so, we're going to have serious adult conversations with the Chinese and make sure they understand that.
Serious adult? What's that even mean? Dude, I say again, what the fuck are you gonna do, bitch? Like, seriously, what the fuck are you gonna do? There's nothing you can do. You have zero leverage. You have negative leverage in this situation because everything that's going on right now, every decision that America has made in the past couple weeks or the past few weeks has been incredibly beneficial to China. It is in China's strategic interest to keep this going as long as possible. Like, so you're going to go over there and say what? What are you going to like invade China too if they don't go along with it? Are you going to tariff them more? Like, what are you going to do? China, like last time you tried to tariff them, just tariffed you right back, and then you ended up caving. Like, so I don't really. There's nothing you can do to put pressure on China in this situation. Like, you're just fucked. You have no bargaining power. Like.
You should not be an adversary to the United States of America. That is not in your best interest.
U.S. Ambassador.
Why? Why is that not in your best interest? Why? Tell me. Why is it? Like, why? What's going to happen? Seriously, what's going to happen?
NATO Matt Whitaker, we thank you so much for your time this morning.
God, these fucking people, man. I swear to God. Okay, I can't take, like, they just have to keep pretending like they have, like, any sort of leverage because I think they're just like thinking back to a bygone era of America, like imperial dominance that doesn't really exist anymore. China knows if there is a war on their home front, like towards them, that they will be like, if we went and invaded China tomorrow, like China knows that they would win because they can outproduce us. It's all about production at the end of the day. That's the only thing that matters in war, really, is production. And America has like negative production, has zero production. And so China is not concerned. And also, I don't think China is going to go on a spree to try to invade America either. China has historically been one of the most docile countries in terms of like, like wars of expansion or aggression or whatever. Like I don't even know if they've been in a war of aggression in the past 100 years, if if I'm gonna be honest. Like, um, so like they're not going to try to invade us, which they would lose if they tried to invade us, but we would also lose if we tried to invade them. So there's nothing there's just nothing we can do at this point. Like America's time as the world superpower is like nearing an end, and everything that Donald Trump does just accelerates that. Um, I wish that he would, take us down a little bit, a little bit easier, like instead of like, WWE dropping us behind behind his back or whatever uh onto the ground, but whatever, it is what it is. We were always empires fall all the time and it's inevitable. I just wish it was a little bit, a little bit less aggressive, but um so okay, we've seen that. let's go uh let's go check
Very
in
bad.
with our friends over in the EU. Now, Trump is very butthurt right now that all of his best friends, all of his best friends in the EU that he was protecting for so long from the scourge of Russia, uh, are not coming to help him reopen the strait. Now, I didn't know why we need the help, I thought that we were strong enough, but I guess not. Um, so let's see if we can gather any information as to why the Europeans do not want to join this. I have a feeling I know, but this video is by France 24 English. I usually like France 24 to some extent. They they're one of my main sources for EU news, I guess. But answering Trump's call for help in Middle East political suicide for allies, according to France 24. Let's see what they have to say.
For NATO, the phrase from the US President Donald Trump as he piles pressure on allies to help secure the Strait of Hormuz. Many of those allies, for now though, including France, pledging to keep their missions in the region away to ensure they remain defensive. Today, major economic powers are beginning as well to release oil reserves to ward off supply disruptions. Oil prices are hovering again around $100 a month as prices have surged overall by 40 to 50% as the war has entered its third week.
Demanding that these countries come
Oh my gosh, that audio.
their own territory because it is their territory. It's a place from which they get their energy, and they should come and they should help us.
This is just whining though. This is just pathetic. Like I'm sorry. This is you can't see this as anything other than pathetic. He is begging right now. He is literally on his knees begging for them to come help us. Like, and they're not doing it. And so, and the reason is because he already talked to our military and like tried to get them to do it, and they said no. They were like, nah, we're not gonna put our military assets like right in that tiny little choke point for Iran to just like Thanos snap us out of existence or whatever. Like, and so he's like, okay, we can't get our military to do it. So let's see if we can get other people's militaries to do it. So he's like, yeah, like he's like on his hands and knees begging these countries to come and protect the strait or whatever. And it seems like they're all kind of saying no.
You could make the case that maybe we shouldn't even be there at all.
Hey, I agree. I
We have a
agree.
lot of oil.
Yeah, I agree. We don't need to be there. Thank you. No, Donald Trump. No, this is good. Take this to its next step. We shouldn't even be there at all. So, like I said before, let's take all of our troops and let's move them out of there. They don't got to be there at all. Like let Iran just keep pummeling Israel into a pile of dirt and we'll just leave. Like, how about that? That sounds good to me.
Maybe we shouldn't even be there at all because we don't need it. We have a lot of oil.
Well, Oliver Farrier from our International Affairs Desk is joining me now here on set. Oliver, US President...
Oof, you got it. I'm sorry, dude. You gotta just do it. When you're at this point, like you gotta just do it. I'm sorry. You gotta shave it all off. He would look pretty good. He would look really good if he had a completely shaved head, I think. Like he's got that posh Britishness that I think, I don't know, like a Sir Ian McKellen or something. He was bald, right? Am I wrong? I might be thinking of a different guy, but yeah.
Calling for US's allies to send warships to help secure the Strait of Hormuz. The response, lukewarm at best, really.
Yeah, it doesn't help that Donald Trump made this call not directly to his allies, but in an interview with the Financial Times. And even Trump in that interview was not terribly optimistic that Washington's allies would join the US in the Strait. But he did raise the spectre of, as you said, there being a very bad future for NATO if other countries did not help. Now, among the countries that Trump is calling on include the UK, France, Japan, and Australia. They're in a bit of a tricky situation.
This is just like win-win for me, man. I'm sorry. This is so funny. Like, if America like destroys NATO, like, oh, I would love that. And then, like, well, I guess it's just a win. I don't know. Like, regardless of what happens, I feel like America's era of like force projection is over at this point. So it's like, I don't know. Whatever happens from now, we'll see.
While privately, their impulse would be to think, why should we help Trump get out of the mess that he has got himself into through an unforced error?
Makes sense to me.
They
I
also
think that.
know, as Trump himself knows, that they're quite dependent on flows of energy from the Persian Gulf. And they're also going to be very wary of upsetting Trump. You know, he's quite an easy man to upset. Japan and Australia have both said that they have no plans for now of sending warships to the Strait of Hormuz. But
Also,
they also said,
didn't we do this all in the Red Sea? Like against the Houthis? Like, didn't we already try this? And like, I think we got like maybe the UK to send like a warship or something. But I think that they left, or like, I don't think they were there the whole time. And then we ended up just like, you know, leaving. Like, we just like declared victory and left one day. Um, and like, and that was against the Houthis, man. That was against the Houthis. Like, this is against Iran. Like, I don't know.
of course, that they haven't actually received any official requests, but they're still choosing their words carefully. Now, the biggest fear for all these countries is the obvious one, that they're worried about attacks on their navies and a potential loss of life. And remember that this war, even in the United States, is a very unpopular one. So any foreign leader or leader from a third country who decides to get involved and potentially risk the lives of their own citizens, that could be electoral suicide for them if they were to do so. So Donald Trump obviously feels that he can absorb.
Man, all these pesky democracies, oh, they keep getting in the way. Am I right? I feel like that's the message that's probably going to be taken from these liberal democracies. Is they're probably going to start thinking, man, if only we didn't have a democracy, then we could do all these unpopular things and nobody could do anything. But
military losses back home, though that possibly might be tested in the months to come as well. But that's not a luxury that other leaders have. Trump, incidentally, also suggested that China should help as well.
See, this is the perfect chance, though, that they should just say no. This is literally the perfect opportunity to say, nah, we're not going to do it. Like, and just say it straight up to his face. Like, no, we're not going to do it. That would be stupid. Why would we do that? Because, like, I keep saying, like, what is he going to do? Like, what are you going to do? They could tariff him more, I guess. They could, like, and Europe isn't as insulated as China, I guess, from that sort of like policy changes. He could break up NATO and I would cry a bunch of crocodile tears or whatever, which to them they probably think that's bad or whatever. But like, I don't know. Like, I don't necessarily, and it's not like they're gonna like force you at the barrel of a gun to like go help them in the strait or something. Like, they're not going to invade Europe if you don't do it. So I don't really see any problem with them just coming straight out and saying no, except for their historical, like, I don't know, subservience and like their tendency towards self-vassalization or whatever that they have that keeps them doing this thing. But like, Spain already said no. Spain has sort of broken from the EU and like said like come out against this and stuff or whatever. Um, and they haven't faced any consequences as far as I'm aware. Did they go through with that? Like, he said he was going to do a trade embargo where nothing was going to go to Spain because Spain was being mean to the United States, and he never did that, right? Like, um, So I don't really think there's going to be any punishment for just straight up saying, nah, like, no, we're not going to do that.
And he also indicated that he might.
Because you can tell how desperate he is for allies right now, right? Like, he's so desperate for allies to come in and help save him. So, like, I don't know. Like, it's like he's projecting that he has no cards to play, like that he is in an incredibly weak position where he needs a bunch of allies, and then he's crying about the allies not coming to help or whatever. And it's like, well, yeah, like, sorry, no, like, no. But
uh,
okay.
as well. And he also indicated that he might cancel his trip to Beijing later this month, where he's supposed to meet President Xi Jinping. Now, Beijing might be a little bit bemused at this offer, particularly given that
I am.
Iran has offered safe passage to Chinese vessels if that all transactions for the oil are carried out in yuans. And interestingly enough, AP reported last week that a number of ships passing through the Strait of Hormuz have fraudulently identified themselves as Chinese in order not to be attacked.
Yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit later on, in fact, with Yana Lee in Beijing. Oliver, Donald Trump also talked the weekend about Iran, saying that Iran wants a ceasefire. Iran's rejected that. Where might the truth lie here, I suppose?
Well, it looks increasingly likely that there will be no military victory on either side, despite all the claims by the U.S. president that the Iranian regime is being.
What does that even mean? That, like, it's a war of imperial aggression. If you're waging an asymmetric war, there's no quote unquote military victory. Like, I mean, there is, I guess, to some extent, because when the other side just goes home, that means that you won. And I guess that's how it is for every war or whatever. But, like, so I don't even know what that means, saying that there won't be military victory on either side or whatever. I don't know.
Hit hard.
There'll be a lot of tactical, like, issues, I guess, like tactical hits on Iran, but they're they're probably going to survive, if I had to guess.
Still able to riposte in an asymmetrical way, and there's no sign of the regime collapsing. Israel says it still has thousands of targets in Iran, but while this is inflicting a lot of pain,
there's still probably thousands of schools, am I right? Thousands of hospitals, thousands of schools, thousands of elderly homes. I'm sure there's plenty of more targets Israel's going to find.
On the Islamic Republic, and of course on the Iranian people too. It's not shifting the dial on regime change, and Tehran knows that it has the crucial leverage in the form of its attacks on US allies in the Gulf and its threats on shipping in the Strait of Hormuz. Now, the US says that the war will probably be over within 3 to 4 weeks, but they've been saying that for about 2 weeks already. And it might be true, but another question is how exactly this war ends. Tehran says it has not sought a ceasefire. It probably thinks it can dig in for a little while longer. Just wait while for the expense.
Well, Tehran said that they would wait until the midterms. So that's like 8 months. Now, that might be an exaggeration. I don't know if they will keep going that long if America is actively seeking back-channel deals for an end to the war or whatever. They might stop a little bit early. But I think that the one thing that we can count on this time is that Iran is going to go until after the missile interceptors run out. That is my personal opinion. So, like, whether America is ready to stop or not, they're going to for sure be wanting to stop by the time they run out of missile interceptors. And I think that Iran will go strategically past that point. I don't know how long, like how many months or weeks or whatever of missile interceptors we have, but like I've always said, Iran will be able to outproduce. They'll be able to produce more drones and more missiles than we'll be able to produce missile interceptors during the course of this war. So, that's kind of my guess is what's going to happen, and then they're going to end the war, or like seek that an end to the war on their terms at that point. If I had to guess, is what's going to happen.
For both the US and Israel of the continuous bombings to accumulate, and also most notably for the ammunition stockpiles to decline, which have been doing so ever since the first week of the war. So it will be a matter of who blinks first. And in the weeks to come, we probably will get a ceasefire being negotiated. Each side will, in their own way, claim victory, but for each, it will be a hugely
I'm not so sure, man. I think that Iran just realized that they tried that before. Um, I don't think they're going to do it unless it's an actual negotiated peace, I guess is what I would say. Like, I don't think they're going to accept some like sort of ceasefire or whatever. I think they're going to demand real concessions from the United States to stop if they want us to, or if they want Iran to stop bombing like Israel and the Gulf states or whatever. So I don't know. We'll see what happens, you know. What do I know? I'm, just a silly YouTuber, right? That's what I always say. Let's see. Okay. Okay, I got a lot of stuff here. Um, I think I'm gonna start. I think I'm gonna do one more. Okay. I'm torn. Torn between this Buttigieg bless Trump administration. Okay, I gotta do it now. I gotta do it now. Okay. This is. I'm sorry. Look, I'm an ally, okay? I love my gay folks out there. I go to my my drag story hour every week or whatever. I'm not a big fan of Pete Buttigieg, okay? And yes, I do sometimes call him Pete Buttigieg. Um, but I did want to watch this video because I love a mad Pete Buttigieg more than anything. I love an angry Pete Buttigieg when he tries to, put on his big boy pants and like come out and get real mad. And I think that we might see that in this video. So this is by our good friends at the Clinton News Network, posted by our boy himself, Pete Buttigieg, as he blasts the Trump administration live on CNN.
War in the Middle East escalates. My next guest says that we've seen this movie before. Joining us now, former Transportation Secretary and Afghan war veteran Pete Buttigieg. Secretary Hegseth, I want to play something that Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said earlier this week about how this war differs from the...
He grew a beard, though. I gotta say, I like it. I think that I think I see what needs to happen. Just the mustache, man. Can you imagine him with just a mustache? Actually, now that I'm looking at it on my other monitor, no, he could maybe pull it off. He could maybe pull it off. We'll see.
Wars in Iraq and
I guess
Afghanistan.
maybe we won't see. I don't know. He probably won't.
This is not 2003.
Uh-oh.
This is not endless nation building under those types of quagmires we saw under Bush or
No
Obama.
quagmires.
It's not even close. Our generation
So
of
different.
soldier will not let that happen again.
You're also a part
Because we're not woke. We're not woke like Pete over here. Pete, the most woke person that has ever existed.
of that generation of soldier. What's your take?
What I'm worried about is not the soldiers and the people who are serving.
Wait. I'm sorry. I know people don't like when I do this all the time, and I talk about the stuff that isn't what they're actually talking about. But is he Southern now? Has he always been Southern? Am I wrong? Like, that accent sounds new to me. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he's always had that, and I just never really listened to him talk that much. But he sounds like he's got like a little Southern drawl going on.
What I'm worried about is not the soldiers and the people who are serving. What I'm worried about is their political leadership.
I'm sorry. It's like he heard everyone's like they're becoming anti-woke now. Like it's popular to be anti-woke. So he's like, oh, actually, I'm not gay anymore. I'm Southern now. Like is what it feels like. I'm so sorry. Okay.
What's your take?
What I'm worried about is not the soldiers and the people who are serving. What I'm worried about is their political leadership, like Pete Hegseth and Donald Trump. You know, we lived through a war that was sold to us on false pretenses when I was younger. This war has not been sold on any pretense. The president just went ahead and did it. Here's the biggest thing that has not changed since the war in Afghanistan or the war in Iraq. The biggest thing that has not changed is who pays the price. We have now seen 13 American service members killed. And when you prepare to go to war, the thing you think about...
And my tax dollars. Don't forget to talk about my damn tax dollars. I need that money, okay? My cat just had surgery. It was $1,000. I need that money.
The thing you most dread is your family being the ones to get that knock on the door. More than a dozen American families have now gotten that knock on the door, and the president has basically assured us that there will be more where that came from. And while they're paying the ultimate price, every American is paying some price. Right now, mortgage rates are up because of this war. Food is going to be more expensive because of this war. And of course, the price of gas that we're paying at the pump is more expensive because of this war.
So the Trump administration argues that they needed to take action to take out Iran's nuclear weapons program and Iran's ballistic missile program.
Let's see what he says this.
Because when they came into office, the Biden administration, your administration, had done nothing in 4 years to stop Iran from building a nuclear weapon, developing ballistic missiles, funding terrorism around the world. Are they wrong?
Let's see what he says here. I'm very curious how he's going to answer this, because the answer should be, the answer that he should say is this war was unequivocally wrong to start. The people of Iran did nothing to us. There was no indication that they were working towards a nuclear bomb. And there was no indication that they were going to attack anybody in the region until we attacked them. Like, that's the true answer. That's like the correct answer. But let's see how far he deviates from that. I have a feeling he's not going to say that.
Yes, of course they're wrong. I mean, for one thing, the president assured us that the nuclear program, President Trump assured us that the nuclear program was, in his words, obliterated just a few months ago. And let's also remember that in the past, Iran...
Hey, why didn't you get back into it, though? Buddy, Pete Buttigieg. Sorry, okay, I'll stop. Pete Buttigieg. Why did you not get back into it? That was your responsibility under the Biden administration to get back into it. And you guys chose not to. So... You know, like
Iran's nuclear program was contained without a shot being fired. I think President Trump thought he could get a better deal than the Obama administration did. He failed to get that better deal, and he went off and launched a war without planning, without being ready for even some of the most basic things. I mean, it is a certainty that the military would have advised him that the Straits of Hormuz would have been closed, that was a likely scenario. And yet they're talking about this and clearly acting as though they didn't think this would happen. The Secretary Hegseth went so far as to say that the Strait of Hormuz is open, other than the fact that there would be
I mean, he did a good job of distracting me, because now I can't even remember what the original question was. So he's got that, like, political instinct, I guess.
Fire against vehicles transiting the strait. This is clearly amateur hour at the Pentagon and in the White House. And
this
again,
is the shit I hate.
Price is being paid by all of us.
I hate this shit, dude. This is if we were in charge, we would have done the war the right way shit. And it's like, just say that, like, the war was bad and, like, we never should have done it. And also say, you should admit that you're, like, because he was a part of the Biden administration. I mean, I think he was, like, the transportation secretary. Yeah. But so he probably didn't have that much say in terms of foreign policy or whatever. But, like, he should have, like, been arguing with Biden that, like, we need to get back into that deal as soon as possible. But the Biden administration, just like it was almost a miracle that Obama did a single good thing in his presidency, and that was the nuclear deal or whatever that they had with Iran. Like, that was probably not supposed to happen according to, like, the State Department, like, neoliberal, like, consensus of foreign policy or whatever. So Trump just, like, came in and, like, just did essentially what the State Department wanted and threw it away. And then obviously the State Department didn't want to get back into it because they wanted to sanction the shit out of Iran. And so then the Biden administration didn't get back into it. And you're a part of that problem, Pete. I'm sorry to say.
You can also just tell from the administration's attitude toward this war, the fact that they're putting out videos treating this like a video game. It's not a video game for the families of the fallen. And then, just this week, we saw campaign fundraising materials being put out, emails where the president's committee, the president's political operation, was raising money off of images of him in a dignified transfer. Any politician who does that has no business leading American troops in the war. If the president...
This is like, sucking off the troops all day, every day, man. I get so pissed off at this, like, performative shit that people do for our troops. I'm sorry. Like, I know that pisses a lot of people off, especially, like, I don't know. In America, everybody, like... This is one of the things that I always think that they don't understand actual patriotism. They don't get it. Like, they perform patriotism. Like, they perform it like it's like in the same way that a lot of the ghouls on the right kind of perform sorrow, or like, like they perform empathy strategically or whatever. Americans perform patriotism. They will stand up at a ball game. They will thank you for your service like a million times until their throats are sore or whatever. But they will never go out and engage in the actual, patriotic duty of like citizens or whatever to better the country in whatever way that they like can, like getting involved in like local politics or something, or like helping out your fellow citizen, like your fellow man, or like, helping people get more rights so that they can like all of these things that like in terms of being a good steward of your country that you need to do if you want to be a true patriot. And none of them do it. And all they do is the thank you for your service bullshit. And I hate it so fucking much. Like, I don't know. I can't stand this shit. And I know the reason I can't stand it is because I know how fucking fake it is. I know that these people do not give a single flying shit about these like American service members. I always say I'm an anti-imperialist. I'm not a fan of the war. I'm not a fan of the people who are in the war who are doing the war crimes, okay? If you show me growth afterwards, cool. But I also know that I care more about their lives as individuals than these ghouls do. They do not give a flying shit. As long as they can like do American Empire shit with their lives, they're gonna keep fucking doing it. And Pete Buttigieg is my least favorite type of military person because he is a rich boy from a rich family who decided to go into the war specifically because he was a little freak who wanted to be president from when he was like 5 years old or whatever. And so when he didn't have any like material conditions that threw him into the circumstance of being in war. He literally just went out to do it so that he can put it on his fucking resume. And I cannot stand that. Is my least favorite type of service member right here is this motherfucker. The only ones that are worse are the right wing, like the right wing, like twins of these people, like the JD Vances or whatever. But yeah, sorry, that was a big tangent I got on, but I can't stand this shit.
Is willing to raise campaign funds over the bodies of America's war dead.
You don't
he is
care.
Unfit
Fuck
to be the
you.
commander
Shut
in
up.
chief.
You live in Michigan now with your family. There was this horrific terrorist attack or anti-Semitic attack, whatever the motivations were, out on a synagogue outside Detroit. In addition,
blowback, baby.
There is this partial shutdown.
Hey, I don't like blowback either, but it's an inevitable consequence of doing this shit. So, we also need to acknowledge reality. Reality is that these things will happen more often the more we destabilize the Middle East, and the more families of people who live in the U.S. that we obliterate into dust, the more likely these things are going to fucking happen.
Of the Department of Homeland Security. 61,000 TSA employees just missed their first full paycheck as the shutdown of DHS because Democrats want changes and demanding changes to ICE policies until they fund the whole DHS. It stretches into another week. You're a former transportation secretary. You know all too well the kind of strain that this is putting on airports. And I wonder, Secretary Noem has been fired. Greg Bovino has been replaced. Tom Homan seems to have changed how things are being done to compliments from Democratic officials at the state and local level. Don't you think Democrats should just take what's something of a
Shut
win
the
and start
fuck
funding
up,
DHS again?
dude. Shut the
I think
fuck
Republicans
up.
should stop blocking the Democratic proposals to fund all of DHS, including TSA and other parts, except for the parts that should be negotiated over, which is ICE and Customs and Border Patrol. Remember, ICE has already gotten tens of billions of dollars of funding. It's larger than many of the world's militaries through the president's budget. And Customs and Border Patrol has yet to face real accountability for killing an American in Minneapolis, which last time I checked is nowhere near the American border. So there are very clear issues that need to be addressed. We cannot continue to have masked government federal agents pulling people off the streets, harassing American citizens.
Hey,
and this
you
is
know
something
what,
that the American
Pete? I'm sorry. I'm sorry I was so mean to you. I'm sorry I made fun of your, like, well, I guess, you know what? I complimented your mustache. So, you know what? But I'm sorry that I made fun of the way you talk and your fake Southern accent you put on for the first instant of this, because like this is an okay answer. I know he's not going to go as far as I want him to go and say that like, yeah, abolish the fuck out of ICE or whatever, but hey, at least he like turned around this like stupid ass fucking framing of the question that they always do, where they put all of the blame entirely on the Democrats or whatever. But
people agree with. None of that has to result in what's going on right now with TSA workers, for example, not getting paid. The lines are getting longer. Every time I'm in one of those lines, whether it was yesterday or today later I will be, I think about how much I appreciate the work that those officers do to keep this country safe. And again, Democrats have repeatedly, I believe 5 times
anybody remember back in the days before TSA, man? Like back before we destabilized every country so hard that you can't go into a fucking like airport without having somebody like, you know, scan your body like it's fucking Metal Gear Solid or something and look at your dick for a few seconds. Like, man, those were the fucking days. Like, maybe someday all the countries won't be so destabilized that we have to like have, you know, 30 different fucking checks we have to go through just to get onto a goddamn plane.
Last week alone, Democrats have proposed to get those TSA officers paid, to get all of DHS funded, except for those 2 pieces where the Republicans just refuse to come to the table. They would rather see this shutdown continue than negotiate a common sense outcome with their fellow members of Congress on the Democratic side.
One of the reasons you're in airports so much is you're traveling across the country. You're currently in Georgia. You campaigned yesterday with Sean Harris, who is running for that open House seat vacated by former Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene. I want to play something that Sean Harris said about you at the event.
Our woke queen, rip to the goat, rip to the Marjorie Taylor goat. She had so much more in store for us.
I see something in the future. This piece not finished. I got a funny feeling that this piece has come to the stage right now. Might be your president someday.
What? No. Not Buttigieg. Please, no. Please do not let our first gay president be Pete Buttigieg. Please, please, please. There's so many wonderful gay people in our country, man. There's so many amazing gay people and queer people. Like, just not him. Please, not him. I don't want it to be him. In the same way that I was saying, please, not Hillary, like for our first woman president, and also kind of Kamala as well. Although I would have accepted her, but I mean, I would have accepted both of them. But I wanted to be someone who is like just a better representative of like, you know, like feminism, or a better representative of like LGBTQ liberation or whatever than these goons.
You've also been in New Hampshire and Pennsylvania, states that are important for any potential presidential candidate. Is what you're doing entirely about the midterms, or are you also setting a stage for a possible 2028 run?
Look, I've also been in states like Alabama and Ohio. I'm going where I think I can make myself useful to candidates and causes that I believe in. Obviously, 2028 will come, but right now we're in 2026, and we've got an amazing groundswell of support, but we've got to keep pushing on that.
Not him.
That event yesterday.
He's a relic, dude. I'm sorry. He is a relic of a bygone era. I don't think he's going to have a shot. American politics are only going to get more radical going forward. It's going to become like even more impossible for these like buttoned up, pristine, like wanted to be president since they were 5 years old type of people to have a shot. As time as time goes on, maybe like after after we get through the the either descent into fascism and like uh the rebound from that, or hopefully alternatively like a more leftist sort of like working class candidate that helps build real institutions that like help the working class attain more in their lives or whatever. Maybe after we get back to a sense of like somewhat normalcy, a like a little politics freak like this could win. But until then, I really don't see it.
It was extraordinary. As you mentioned, this is a very, very conservative district. Sean Harris, who's distinguished himself as a veteran, a general, is leading a great campaign for Marjorie Taylor Greene's former seat. The really incredible thing to me was you could hear it in that crowd. There were hundreds of people there. This is in northwest Georgia, again, extremely conservative area. I'm told that was about twice as many people as came to see President Trump himself when he was there just a few weeks ago. So what that tells me is there's a different kind of coalition coming together right now. Democrats, independents, lots of people who normally vote Republican, who agree that we need balanced government, we need some kind of check on this reckless, out of control administration.
It's not about balance, man. They always think like it's not about like some sort of compromise or whatever. It is just be unabashedly for the working class. Like that is the winning message. Okay, whatever. Sorry. Pete Buttigieg, I don't think your time's ever coming for presidency. I'm sorry. I don't think there's no appetite for a person of your types of politics right now. Okay, we're going to move on to a slightly different type of topic now.
Ever since
I have no idea how this is going to go. I'm going to be honest. So this is Neil deGrasse Tyson. For those unaware, I'm kind of a science nerd to some extent. I watch a lot of like stuff about the edges of science, like particularly like black holes and like quantum stuff and all that sort of shit. I watch a lot of that when I'm going to sleep a lot. I think I've picked up a decent amount of like pop science knowledge from it or whatever. I don't necessarily watch Neil deGrasse Tyson that much because I think he comes off a little bit fake to me in terms of like how he presents stuff. I think or like maybe a little bit like egocentric in a way or whatever. But this I thought might be a good kind of mix of both of those two subjects. So I saw this video. I thought, you know what, I'm going to give it a go. We're going to see what Neil deGrasse Tyson has to say about war in this video called A Scientist View of War. Let's see. I don't know if he's going to have very good opinions. Oh, sorry. I did want to say one other thing. I think that scientists tend to not have a very good understanding of politics and not have a very good understanding of like, systems and like modes of production and like resource extraction and like all of these various things that go into war because they're too focused on doing all the, hard science shit that they have to do. That's generally what I think, but who knows? Maybe Neil deGrasse Tyson will surprise me. So let's see what he has to say about war.
we've recorded the history of human conduct in what we call civilization and even before, there have been people who didn't get along on a level where it wasn't simply a matter of let's talk over our differences. It's we cannot resolve our differences, so therefore I must kill you. This as a mode of operation within our species, within civilization itself, is disturbing.
Disturbing, but already I saw a little thing that's a little iffy in terms of framing it as like not getting along or whatever, as opposed to the main purpose of war, which is resource extraction. But you know what? Hey, I only gave him 37 seconds so far, so we'll see what else he has to say. This is a badass
So let's go way back when
though.
it's just fisticuffs. What's the most damage I could do? I can like maybe harm one person, possibly kill one person at a time. Now I have a bow and arrow. I'm one person and I can take out 10 people at a time. Notice this ratio is getting steeper and steeper. I now have a gun. Actually, it's a musket gun initially. I could take you out at 50 yards. I don't even know what you look like and I can kill you. Then I have automatic weapons. One person can take out 20 people. You reload, take out another 20. A missile. You fire a missile. I can take out hundreds of people. War continues to, quote, advance. What else can I have? Oh, bombs. Yes. So now one person can kill.
So he's just talking about destructive capabilities going up, which is a natural, a natural thing that happens with the progress of technology.
Thousands. Once you have an airplane, you can fly over someone's head. It renders the trench warfare obsolete. Airplanes can go over cities. You drop bombs on people's heads, whether or not they're combatants. So now you just make more and more powerful bombs. Now the bombs are no longer just explosives like with gunpowder or anything. It's nukes, nuclear weapons, a birth at the end of the Second World War. Now, one person flying an airplane can kill tens of thousands, even millions. Tens of thousands initially with the atom bomb. These are the fission bombs that split uranium and plutonium atoms into lighter atoms, releasing energy in the process.
Had to throw
Those
a
were the
little
two
science
bombs
in
over
there.
Nagasaki.
He had to throw a little science in there before he got into the real sad shit.
And Hiroshima. The first and only 2 times nuclear weapons were used in warfare.
The worst war crimes of all human history.
The bombs over Nagasaki and Hiroshima were like 20 kilotons, something like that. Kilotons. What unit is that? We don't have a way to measure the energy of atomic bombs, so you measured in terms of what the previous explosive powers were. TNT. TNT's dynamite. Discovered by Alfred Nobel, by the way, got rich, put in money to create the Nobel Prize. Kilo is 1,000, we all know. Ton is a ton. 1,000 tons of TNT. Not just one stick of dynamite, thousands of tons. You take that, ignite it in an instant. You incinerate everybody below you. And we have magnified the power of that weapon by 100. We call them hydrogen bombs, just the way the sun makes energy, taking hydrogen atoms, bringing them together.
I do wonder what the future of like weaponry could be. Like, I wonder if there's any like sort of quantum shenanigans that could happen, or like matter antimatter like collisions or something. I don't know. I am curious if there's going to be like a level of destructive capability above these types of like fission bombs or whatever.
Together to make helium atoms. That also releases energy, way more energy than you'd get by fissioning heavy atoms. No longer is it kilotons, it's megatons. Not just thousands of tons of TNT, millions of tons of TNT. Now, one person who pushes a button or has a rocket to deliver ICBM, intercontinental ballistic missiles. I can sit here in the comfort of my chair, control a missile on my sovereign land. It'll enter suborbital because it leaves our atmosphere. It can't travel that far without resistance through the air. It leaves our atmosphere, goes its distance, comes back out of the sky, hits its target. You can kill 1 million people. Clearly, that's a highly unstable situation, because now we are beholden to the sanity of anyone who has access to that button. Given the neurodiversity of our species, not everyone has the rational capacity to make a decision that would be in the interest of the world's health, wealth, and security.
That is true. However, the systems and morality that we have just generally create things like taboos and stuff that make it that make it much more difficult for people to say, like, for a madman to say, just press the button. Like, if we had a truly Mad King situation who was about to press the button for like no goddamn reason, I kind of think that if the military, if the entire like military chain of command didn't like, or State Department didn't like see it as beneficial to the nation state that it's representing, that they wouldn't allow it to go forward. And that's because these actions are never really individual, uh, per se. They're all structural. They're all based on these structures that we create and the goals that we have set them out to do. So that's kind of my thoughts on that, is that I don't necessarily even think like a Mad King type situation would ever be able to do that particularly, personally.
I'm old enough to remember MAD, mutual assured destruction. It was the realization that if there's a first strike, while the weapons are airborne, spaceborne, while they're leaving the atmosphere, that's enough time for you to launch your weapons.
It seems like that is true, though. It seems that like a nuclear umbrella is like the only possible way of having sovereignty at this point. We've kind of learned that over the recent history, is that if you go the North Korea model, where you just try to build nukes as fast as you possibly can, and then you attain it, then you won't ever get fucked with by America, and like you can just sit there and like peacefully like live in your country and not just get like, I mean, yeah, you might get sanctioned to shit by America regardless, but yeah, you're never going to have America just start like, you know, destabilizing you or killing your leader or whatever if you acquire nukes. So we are kind of learning that like this whole mutually assured destruction does give you a sort of umbrella, which is why I keep saying, China, just send one little nuke over to Iran, and then we can finally have peace in the Middle East. That's all it would take.
Country wants to really get at you, they'll attack you and your allies. So now everybody starts launching weapons. If you have total nuclear exchange and you ignite the forests and the vegetation of the world, this converts living plant tissue into carbon soot that goes into the air, blocking sunlight. This was the famous nuclear winter that was described in the early 1980s. Computing power was just becoming good enough to address the question of what happens if you darken the skies all around the world. The temperature of the earth drops. Plants that depend on sunlight die.
See, this is all like, okay, this is all kind of like fun stuff to like think about, I guess, or whatever, or not really fun, I guess, but not stuff that I'm particularly interested in, I guess. Like these, I mean, like, or I guess not what I'm really trying to get out of this, I guess, is that I'm trying to see what his thoughts are in terms of like, maybe this next section will be a little bit better, but like how he thinks wars happen or why they happen, or like that sort of stuff, or even like this section, scientists' role in war and like that sort of stuff. But I'll let it play though, just to see, you know, what scientists think about, I guess, when it comes to
animals that depend on plants die. Animals that depend on plants die in sequence. And you have nuclear holocaust, not only affecting Earth life, but plant life and other animal life as well. The nuclear winter scenario, it assumed that the weapons would be equally distributed on Earth's surface. That's generally not how this works. If you're launching nukes, you're going to launch it at the missile silos that might have other nukes that haven't launched yet. And you're going to launch it towards cities with multiple nukes coming into the same city. So you won't get the spread that initial calculation had presumed. But what it did do was birth an entire science of long-term climate modeling from assaults on the environment. And out of that, we got to have great confidence that the dinosaurs were taken out by an asteroid the size of Mount Everest that struck the Yucatan Peninsula off of Mexico, cast dust into the air, plunging Earth into darkness, rendering 70% of all species of life on Earth and in the ocean extinct. The world quickly realized how deadly this is.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. What's that in the background there? Does Neil deGrasse Tyson have a nuke back there? Dude, he's like, if anyone tries to get me, I got him. I'll get him right back. It's mutually assured destruction. If Bill Nye ever comes for me, I'm gonna get him right back.
It's not just a bow and an arrow. It's not just fisticuffs. It is an asymmetry in warfare that had never been seen before. I'm reminded of a quote from Albert Einstein. I don't know how World War III will be fought, but I know that World War IV will be fought with sticks and stones. That's where war and the science of war has taken us. Scientists...
I'm not so sure. I think that a nuke may be deployed at some point by a country that is maybe structurally more tempted to do so, and by that I mean Israel. I do think that Israel's entire political system is fervent with like the most racist like Nazi ideology shit that like would be willing to like literally like do that shit like as the entire like structure organization if they thought that they were like actually in trouble or if Iran was hitting them too hard or something. I don't know what would come out of that if they did decide to do that, but I don't necessarily think that it would be like an instantaneous like setting off all of the like like I don't think China's gonna then nuke Israel or something if they did that shit. However, I do think that it would create enough of a like unilateral political pressure to to end that shit that that Israel might be, diplomatically a little bit fucked or whatever. So I don't really I guess what I'm saying is I don't necessarily think it's like a once one goes off they all go off sort of situation. And inherently it depends on who the one is and who they're targeting. Like Israel isn't going to target a nuclear armed nation. Israel isn't going to send a nuke at what does Pakistan have nukes? I can't remember. I think so. Like at Pakistan or something. Because they know that they would just get nuked right back or whatever. So yeah, I don't know. That's the only situation where I think a nuke will be deployed is if it's against an unnuclear armed nation, and I think that the diplomatic fallout of that might be bad enough to make it not a good call. I think that strategically not a good decision.
Have historically been complicit in the waging of war. Governments, be they warmongering or otherwise, have always reached for the ingenuity and creativity of scientists and engineers of all stripes. Where do you get chemical weapons from? You go to the chemist. Bio warfare, you go to the biologist.
Well, that's where most of their funding comes from. Most of their funding is to develop war shit. To be honest, there's not a lot of funding for science that isn't specifically for for war, war technology or whatever.
The astrophysicist, we don't make bombs, we don't know, but we care about multispectral imaging in dark places. We care about coordinates on Earth and in the heavens. We care about timing. What is a physicist an expert at? It's matter, motion, and energy. And what is a military battle of any kind? It's I have energy over here, and I want to put it over there.
Yeah.
It could be I have a bullet here sitting in my gun, but I want to put that bullet over there with energy that I give it. I have a bow and arrow. I pull the string, pumping potential energy into the bow. When I let go,
Sure, dude.
bow-
Sorry, this is the stuff that I'm like, I wish you would talk about the stuff that I find interesting. I understand that, like, it's, it's just, it seems like kind of a little shoehorny or whatever,
springs
but
forward,
whatever.
the arrow goes, sending kinetic energy.
Why doesn't he just listen to my YouTube channel and know exactly what I want him to talk about is what I'm saying, basically.
Over here to over there. That is the basis of essentially every military conflict. There is no war that is won without the exploitation of science and technology at its center. A little bit about me and my history. I grew up in the 60s and 70s. All I ever knew was the Vietnam War. I grew up in an era where war is bad. War is bad.
Yeah,
How could war ever be good?
it still
But
is.
meanwhile, I'm still observant, and I look around town, and there's statues to war heroes, military servicemen standing proud.
Yeah, propaganda.
And I said, how is it that I could think war is bad where apparently at all these other times, not the time coincident with the Vietnam War, but at all these other times, war was commemorated with pride and, dare I say, even celebrated.
Yeah, because every previous war is good, or like we whitewash it to some extent, like especially the ones that have like militarily achieved the goals of, like I always say, our pedo billionaire overlords or whatever. And I guess all of them to some extent have, but we glorify the ones that like have a clear victory or whatever. I guess we just kind of throw the others in the dustbin though. Like I think a lot of people just don't even really think about Vietnam and how we lost that war. They don't even really think about how we lost the Iraq war or the Afghanistan war. Um, so, but yeah, the current war is always unpopular though, in general, like especially nowadays as America is no longer able to like win wars. Like the current war always becomes more and more unpopular as time goes on. So he's just kind of looking at the propaganda that's set up to make everybody like think about war as some good thing to sacrifice for, but then comparing it to the actual feelings of the people who have to endure it or whatever, which is it's a good contradiction to recognize.
That's what kind of Memorial Day and Veterans Day is all about. You are celebrating those who fought in wars and commemorating those who died in wars. This is a celebration, a recognition. Whereas in the Vietnam era, there was none of that. So that's where I was forged. My sense of war was forged. But my rational mind was saying, what is the rest of this about? There are occasions where, yeah, war is necessary. A bad actor rises up whose interests do not comport with what we might think of as civilization.
Uh-oh. I don't like those words. um, I war. Okay. We'll see where he's going with this. Unless he's talking about like another country like starts invading all of the surrounding countries or something. Like if he's not talking about like Germany or something, or like like sometimes you can wage a war on behalf of other countries, I guess. And that can be good and just or whatever, like fighting the Nazis or whatever. But in general, war is never good. Like wars of like, if you are ever doing the first strike of a war, you're bad, you're evil, you're wrong. You should not have done that under all circumstances. So like even if the person is purportedly your enemy, like let's say I don't know, North Korea or something for us, like going to war with them just because they're your enemy like is bad and wrong. Like under all circumstances. So yeah.
The preservation and prolonging of civilization as we have built it and as we have come to embrace it.
As long as he doesn't say Western civilization, Jesus Christ.
Easily, who comes to mind, of course,
Okay.
is Adolf Hitler.
See,
Yes,
this is why I was like, I don't want to go too hard on him yet, because he might just be talking about Hitler.
there are times when you are fighting evil forces, but you have to ask who defines who's evil.
Good
In
question.
starting and making a war, not the right is what matters, but victory.
That's true.
The strongest has the right.
It's hard to argue against the idea that to protect freedom is a good thing, and the fact that freedom isn't always free. It reminds me, I saw a comic long ago where two people are
Protecting freedom, like protecting our freedom, sure. Like if you want to defensively protect your country with freedom, then sure. That's a good thing. If another country ever was insane enough to try to invade America, I would be all for protecting our country from that invading force. The problem is we never do that in America. I can't even remember the last defensive war that we have ever fought, unless you count Pearl Harbor. Like, honestly, it's insane. Like we are always fighting wars of aggression outside of our country. So like, and that is never for another country's freedom. We are never going to Iraq to liberate someone, or we are never going to Afghanistan to liberate someone. We are always going there to extract resources from them. That is what every foreign war has always been about.
facing each other with a bow and arrow pointed right at each other's necks. And each one says at the same time, the harder I pull, the safer I feel. It's like, really? As a scientist, when we disagree with one another, we might argue our case vociferously. Some people are a little more emotionally invested in their ideas than others.
Hey, have you ever tried have you ever tried when someone has a different thought about like how how quantum physics works? Have you ever tried just killing that person though? Something tells me your argument would win if you just went out and killed the other person.
So it can get heated, but at the end of the day, you know what we say to each other? We need more data. When more data come in and then it resolves the conflict, then we agree, go out, have a beer, and then move on to the next frontier question.
Right now.
That's the brain wiring of a scientist. It's not the brain wiring of politicians or many other sort of sectors of society where
Okay. Scientists are not some mythological being who are outside of the realm of politics or outside of the realm of our, structures and stuff. Like they are very much a part of that. And there are many scientists who are like vehement or like incredibly like reactionary and racist and stuff, or like incredibly reactionary and like warmongery and like ready, like they're not exclusively thinking in the realm of like logic and like I don't know, they're not like computer programs or something, like so sometimes I don't really like when people frame scientists as some like objective arbiter of like right or like of like neutrality or something when it comes to these things.
they need to interact with others. I've had some exposure to military operations. Now, I never served in the military, not as a soldier, but I did serve on a board of the Pentagon, the Defense Innovation Board.
That's not
It was an
good.
attempt to alert the military that the strength in armies going forward, the strength of nations going forward, is not measured by how many soldiers are on the ground. It's not even necessarily measured by how many nukes you have in your silos. It could be measured by how clever you are with either computing or calculations or strategies that come from a place that's not just how big is your weapon.
I mean, okay, yes and no. The smart person will obviously win more often than not like, or whatever, right? The people with better strategy will win, but it's not like the more computing power you have, you're going to win. Like America has like 1 billion data centers or whatever, right? Like we have so much data, like we don't even know what the fuck to do with it all. Like and Iran has like not nearly as much compute technology or whatever, but they have better strategy because they are thinking of it as an asymmetric warfare like model, and they are able to, and I always say this again, they're able to outproduce us. That's I guess you could think of that as a compute problem maybe, but it's also a will and a political problem as well that are firmly outside of the realm of like compute capabilities or whatever like his ideas on like back then at least of what would win wars. Um so yeah, I don't know if I necessarily agree with that.
You look at the reasons why people have fought wars over the years. A common one is access to limited resources.
Yep. The only one.
I want what you have.
The only one. The only one. That's the only one. There's no other reason people go to war. That is the only reason.
I need what you have. Oh, you're not going to share it? You're not going to give it to me, therefore I'm going to take it.
Every other war that they say is a holy war or whatever, like a war of two civilizations who are just different and don't see eye to eye, it is always resource extraction. Every single time, 100%.
Well, you can only do that. You can only threaten to do that if you have the resources, the financial resources, the scientific resources, the engineering resources. Other reasons why people fight with limited access to resources, yes. Religion. Again, I come to it as a scientist. If there's a batch of scientists over there who say,
no.
E doesn't equal MC squared,
no.
E.
Sorry, no. It's not. It's just not. It's not. Religion is a tool. It is a tool used by people to, to facilitate the, resource extraction. Like, it is always resource extraction, no matter what. Like, point to a war. It's resource extraction. That's what it always is.
Equals MC cubed. Are we going to go to war over that? No. I would say, no, let me show you why that is not true. And I would demonstrate it with experiments and examples. That doesn't work as well when you have belief systems. If you come from a belief system, then what you believe doesn't have the evidence that science would normally require to establish what is objectively true.
Okay.
That's why they're called belief systems, because you believe that something is true. Now, you may believe it so strongly that you know it's true, but that's an internal emotion that you carry.
He's kind of given a little bit of religion bad vibes here, which I'm not really a fan of personally. I think it's a kind of pointless thing to like. Yes, I am like agnostic or whatever, but I don't really see any use for like being like religion bad. I think you can talk about religion as a tool to either be used for good or for bad, depending on the circumstance. But
belief systems are such that it may be true for you, but it's not really true for other people unless you convince them of it. And since it's based on belief, rational arguments tend to not work. You need methods of coercion or force.
Yeah, but,
ultimate.
This one I very vehemently disagree with. There's never, every single quote unquote holy war has always been about resource extraction. It has been, those people have things that we want, and we are going to use religion. Like, even like if you think about like the Crusades or something, like the most holy war thing that has happened in the past, it was, we want the resources over where, we want that city over there, we want that land over there. So we're going to start sending these marauding groups of, fanatics to go out and try and take it or whatever. It is always about resources, and when I say resources, that includes land. Okay, so when it's like a war over territory or land, that is like about resources as well.
Threat of violence, perhaps even threat of death. And so some of the most violent encounters civilization has ever had with itself is when one warring faction has a belief system that differs from that of their adversary. It's interesting to ask of ourselves in society, is there anything you would die for? You get one chance in life. What I have found is that the less...
My answer would be the things that I would die for are the people. Like I would die for other people. That's my answer. I would die to protect the marginalized. That's what I would do. I would die to protect those who have less power than me or whatever, or those who would be more likely to die if I didn't put my life on the line. That would be my answer.
Tangible the thing is you're fighting for, the more abstract it is, the less evidence there is in support of it, the more willing people are to die for it. And so war always seems to be this glorious thing at the beginning, and then the body bags start coming back, and not only military.
True, but this is a very American perspective. That's because all of our wars are wars of choice. Like, the people in Iran do not think about the body bags coming back or whatever, or the cost of this war. And the reason is because they are in a defensive posture and they will be wiped out, or they will be like genocided if they do not, survive this or whatever, if they do not like sufficiently damage America or the American economy or whatever. Americans, yes, are very sensitive to these images of like bodies coming back from overseas wars, and that's because we're the aggressors, and any cost, especially for an unpopular war, any cost is too high or whatever.
Casualties,
even as minimal as they are. Like, we've only had 12 deaths so far from an American perspective against Iran at the time that I'm recording this, and Iran, I think, has had over like 1,000 already. But they're not sensitive to that because they understand that they are, they're waging a defensive war to protect their land and protect their territory. We're very sensitive to it because we are not. Now, if another country came in and started bombing us, set up some like naval started invading our country from like New York or something or whatever, like let's say China decided to just like they decide to land on the coast of Florida and start waging war on the United States and trying to take over our territory. I'm sure that a lot of people would die trying to protect our land or whatever. We wouldn't be nearly as sensitive to those deaths in that particular circumstance. That sensitivity comes from the fact that we are waging a war of choice and a war of aggression.
But civilian casualties, just trying to live their lives, who are now susceptible to decisions made by people in power, who generally are not themselves the same people who go do the fighting. I find that dismaying, just being human in civilization as a scientist.
It is dismaying, but those people are our representatives. They do represent the broad swaths of society. If this war that we are currently waging against Iran was so offensive to the American public, then they would rise up like in arms to like stop it or whatever. But they're not, because it's not that offensive to them. It's not nearly as offensive to them as I personally think it should be.
But it's real, and it happens, and that's how the world is put together. With or without the League of Nations coming out of the First World War, with or without the United Nations after the Second World War, with
What's
charters that are signed, Geneva
hey,
Convention.
Hey. He forgot one. He forgot the Board of Peace, okay? Come on now.
And the end of the day, you can ask the question, can we just all get along? Let me end on a slightly more positive note. All the UFOs people have been seeing.
Hey, I got a solution here, okay? And I know that I don't know. I don't really know what Neil deGrasse's Tyson or whatever is his opinions are on modes of production and Marxist analysis of material conditions or whatever. But I do think there is a way that we can all get along, and that is when our productive capabilities lead to so much to having so much, everybody being able to produce so much and have it, distributed so widely and so easily and so availably that we no longer even need nation states. Now, this would be the end goal of communism, by the way, which I don't foresee happening anytime soon. Like, at least another 400, 500 years, if I had to guess, maybe 1,000 years, who knows. But yes, there are modes of production that we can use that will facilitate more resource distribution to more people, that will lead to less resource extraction for the super profits of our pedobillionaire overlords. We never see the fruits of war as citizens in this country or whatever. Our pedobillionaire overlords, they do. They see a lot of those profits. So if we organize society in a way such that it is impossible for those people to continue accumulating infinite profits from and extracting infinite resources from the third world and from the middle and lower powers in the world, then we can maybe start moving towards a society that may one day no longer have a need for nation states and may no longer have a need for borders, and we can enter that utopian vision of Star Trek of a classless, stateless society. But that's just me. That's my thoughts as a crazy commie. Sorry, Neil deGrasse.
In the sky, lights that we can't explain. I'm glad some part of the military budget is going to investigating them, because people have been seeing them for decades. I've never seen anything that I couldn't identify. Okay. I know a lot about weather and climate and sky conditions.
Okay, I don't give a shit about UFOs. I'm sorry. UFOs are all just psyops to get people vaguely talking about something else other than what's currently going on. So, okay, Neil, you know what? I think we got some good out of that. I really do. He discussed it. I was really glad once we got about past the halfway point, where he started talking more about, the political dynamics of stuff. And I think that he was wrong on a lot of stuff, but right on some stuff. And I don't necessarily expect our scientists, who are so busy throwing all of their, hundreds of millions of brain cells into the depths of what we can find out in this universe, and keeping one of those fingers on the button to shoot this nuke at Bill Nye if he ever gets out of line or whatever. So I don't necessarily expect them to understand all of these things in the same way that like I do, or of course my beautiful big-brained audience does. So but I do think it's fun to get a different perspective every once in a while. So thank you, Mr. Neil deGrasse. I loved it. And your voice is beautiful. Keep it up. Way better than mine. I don't know why people listen to me. Okay. You know what? I was gonna do some articles, but we're already at time basically, or at like the 2-hour mark. So I'm just gonna instead just scroll through X, see if we can find anything to rot our brain a little bit with. Hopefully something fun, or some fun things. Oh, is there another one of these videos? Wait a second. Okay, wait, I'm gonna watch this.
Kept their alliance with Marxism, and the problem with that is that if you're a human being, you have to act in the world, because otherwise you suffer miserably and then you die.
Whenever I'm watching like a new trailer on my stream, and there's, oh my god, there's a fucking black person. Oh my god, there's a woman.
It's
oh no.
Your body.
I'm scared.
My choice.
Ew, gross.
Fucking pronouns!
Pronouns!
Gender ambiguity! I want these people to suffer. Because that's what they did to me. Get rid of them.
The will of man's heart is towards evil from
oh
his
my god.
Dries up, what goes around, yep, what goes around comes around. And we're coming. Non-incel attitude, well, I guess I'm an incel. And I think everybody else should be. All of us today, work spot. If slavery never existed at all across the globe.
There were undoubtedly many nice slave owners in the South.
See, many people Many people don't know this, but that's what happened to me a couple weeks ago. That's why I started doing this. That's why except like the commie version of that. I don't know. That was pretty funny. I gotta watch that. I think that Aamon guy, if I remember correctly, he was the same guy who did the animation of like I think like H3 or something, like the decay of Ethan Klein or something. But he's really good at animating, especially that creepy shit. Like I love that. That's awesome. I'll have to I'll have to check that out. If I can find that for tomorrow or something, if there's a full video, then we'll watch that tomorrow. But whoa. Okay, APAC tracker. APAC and their allies have now spent greater than $9 million supporting Laura Fine and attacking her opponents. Kat Abu Ghazala is the only leading candidate in Illinois' ninth district rejecting the Israel lobby outright. Yeah. I mean, you can just tell how much they're scared of her by how much they're donating and trying to get her to lose. So that's a good enough reason to vote for her if you live up in that crazy ass Chicago district that like is like one like this tall but like this wide. Let's see. Uh-oh. This is from Jeremy Scahill. In response to this report today, the White House denounced drop site news as abhorrent and accused us of engaging in America last behavior. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Um, well, maybe they'll go after drop site news. I don't really know. I don't really. They'll whatever they do, it'll be fine. They're good reporters. There'll always be good reporters regardless of what the media tries to or whatever the Trump administration tries to do. Kneecaps going to Cuba, it sounds like. Bring in, yeah. That's good. Apparently Cuba has completely lost power at this point. It's really sad. I always joke and say like China send oil now or whatever. Like America's too bogged down in Iran. Like you need to just send the fucking oil. I'm not really. I mean, I guess I'm not really joking. Like I do want them to do that, but it's like I don't understand why they're all so fucking scared. Like at the very least just do it covertly or something. Like America is bogged down right now. Like I don't think that you're going to get, you know, like I don't know like is it still is Cuba still fully blockaded? Like I don't really think that we're going to be capable of stopping the oil from getting through, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we still have it completely blockaded. Um, I don't know. It's just really sad. David Hogg. Our country literally bombed a fucking school. Yeah, it did. We murdered children for this completely aimless and pointless war. Over 170 people, mostly little girls. I think it was over 225, but murdered by our country. How the fuck did we not know it was a school? Um, but have you considered that not bombing a school full of children would be woke, though, David Hogg? I don't think you've considered that. We're not doing we're not doing that woke shit, like not bombing school children. That was for those pussies in the Bush administration, not us. Oh, okay. The election day in Illinois for Kat Abugazala is tomorrow. Okay, everybody, if you're listening, I know I don't have a ton of influence. I know that I'm not, the biggest influencer in the world, but if you are out there and you do live in Illinois, the eighth or what was it? The seventh, ninth? Sorry, the ninth district. If you do live in Illinois ninth district, please go vote for Kat if you if you have the proclivity for her. Please don't just sit on the couch. I would really like to get another non-APAC person in Congress. Well, let's see what Owen
This
Willis
is
has to say.
so insane on every level. When will they ever learn? We had
Learn
the killing
what?
fields of Afghanistan, where a 2-decade-long occupation ended with the Taliban stronger than ever. We had the killing fields of Iraq, hundreds of thousands of slaughtered, blood and chaos. We had the killing fields of Libya, which is still a failed state, 2 rival governments, 15 years after the war began. We had Israel's genocide of Gaza, wiped from the face of the earth, much of the world rightly and understandably detesting what the West did to those people. And now we have a war which makes the crime of Iraq look like a supremely well-executed act.
Yeah. Well, but Owen, okay, but have you ever considered that that all of those wars significantly enriched the top 1% of our country, the Epstein class? They all got really, really fucking rich off of all that shit. Have you ever considered that, Owen? Because they did. Like the Epstein class made out like fucking bandits on each of those wars, and they'll probably make out like bandits on this war too. I mean, maybe we'll see. Only if America like truly fucks up and like it's an like just obvious loss or whatever. Um, will that not be the case? But I kind of have the feeling like they're gonna make out like bandits on this war too.
Acts of
But
genius
that's why
in
Keir
comparison.
Starmer stayed out of it, right? He in a way
He hasn't. He hasn't. It's not true, Jeremy. Our British military bases are being used by the Americans to wage their illegal
That's a
war on
bit
Iran.
true.
We've got to stop.
Okay.
It isn't. We've got to stop claiming we're not involved in it. We
Annunciata.
already are.
It's
You
different.
send warships to the Strait of Hormuz, which then become targets for Iran. You are engaging in that.
No, you're not.
Yes,
No,
you are.
yes,
Oh
you
my
are.
God. Britain should absolutely.
Oh my God. I don't know what panel he was on. I'm sure it was, some shitty British channel or whatever with a bunch of freaks, but he is 100% right. You are choosing to engage in the war if you're doing those things. If you're helping Americans target places in Iran or whatever, like you are participating in the war.
Absolutely not bog itself down in yet another US-led quagmire in a illegal war which has plunged the world into chaos.
But we need the oil now.
Because of the US. Yeah, and that's the point. What we should do is focus on the root cause of why it's closed, which is to stop the US and Israel from waging an illegal war against...
You would have all that oil still if Iran or if Israel and America didn't decide to go to war. So, yeah, he's 100% right. I don't know. I don't know this person, so I don't feel comfortable like advocating for them. Sorry. I don't really like to advocate unless I have like a general understanding that I'm not gonna like regret them or whatever. With Kat, I don't think she's gonna turn into some like Kristen Cinema type or anything. So I'm pretty comfortable advocating for her. Yeah. That's true. The genocide of Palestinians has not ended. Israeli soldiers just murdered Ali and Wahid Adeh and 2 of their children while wounding their other 2 children. Congress can't turn a blind eye to the horrors happening to Palestinians in the West Bank and Gaza. Yeah, I mean it's ongoing and it will like continue going until we cut off all arms to Israel. Every single arm, cut off my arm, their arm, everybody's arms. We got to get rid of all them arms. Oh, that's too long, sorry. Southfield says no to ICE. We do not want an ICE office in Southfield to carry out Trump's deportation machine in our community. Across our country, neighbors are coming together to protect our loved ones and reject this abuse and cruelty. Abolish ICE, yes. We need to get rid of ICE, like now. I know that people think that it's kind of gone away. It's kind of gone on the back burner. And to some extent, they have reduced the like brazen cruelty that they have been engaged in, right? But I assure you that it will come back when it feels right to them, when it feels necessary to them. It'll come back potentially in terms of election interference in 2026 or 2028. I guess this is 2026, but like in the midterms or in 2028. If it doesn't come back then, and if say either Democrats get in power and they don't do anything and you get someone worse than Trump the next time, or if Trump just stays in office or whatever, or another Republican comes in. At some point, ICE is going to be used to begin, just crushing all dissent in the country no matter what. That's what they're going to do. So they got to be stopped. Yeah. Prosecute them. Prosecute them. Don't throw them in jail, though. Don't throw them in jail for federal crimes, at least, because somebody's just going to come in and pardon them. So either have them executed for treason or deport them themselves to some other fucking country. Like, I think those are your really only two options. Unfortunately, hey, I would have preferred having them in jail, but we don't allow bad people to stay in jail in this country. We always find a way for them to get out of jail. So, yeah, I mean, unfortunately, those are really the only two options I see. Anonymous. Oh, is Anonymous going full woke? The embodiment of fragile masculinity. Hegseth is the physical embodiment of watching Starship Troopers and not understanding his satire. Okay, Anonymous. This is a fucking, 2015 era take. Like, you gotta, get with the fucking program, dude. If you're listening to me, Anonymous, I swear I am on your side, but, you gotta get your meme game up a little bit. I do kind of like these, hacktivist type groups or whatever. I think that's a pretty cool thing to exist in society. Makes me feel like I'm living in a movie or something, even if they don't have a ton of actual real world impact. Let's see. Dude, Kyle's on one sometimes, man. This is funny. I know that he's probably just reposting or whatever, but that's pretty funny. Oh, Americans, when they hear a group of fish is called a school, and it's a guy just shooting the water, with a AR-15 or something. Let's see. Oh God. Yeah. It says, well, some right-wing slop guy says a top transgender Reddit moderator has deleted his account after being exposed as a convicted child sex offender. Now, first and foremost, I know what they're trying to say is that a transgender person was convicted of being a child sex offender, but I can't help but read this and think a Reddit moderator was convicted of being a child sex offender, because that doesn't surprise me at all. That's what I see as a correlating factor, probably more than the transgender thing. But then Elon Musk says it happened yet again, and then Anonymous says, you were begging to go to Epstein Island to fiddle kids, bro. No one gives a fuck what your opinion is on trans people. You're a pedo. That's what matters. That's what people give a fuck about. This is the actual Anonymous page, right? Or the actual, yeah, we are Anonymous, we are Legion. Yeah. So I assume this is actually them or whatever that run this. But sometimes I wonder if it's just some dude on the internet who happened to get that handle or something. I don't really know if I'm supposed to trust these blue check marks or not anymore. I don't even know what a blue check mark for the organization of Anonymous would even mean, to be honest. So that one's just a little confusing to me. Mehdi Hassan. Our fake Democratic Party consultant, Habe Capello, is back with his hilarious plan for the 2023 presidential primaries and a client hunt. Let's see what they have.
The 2028 presidential primary is only 2 years away, so for Democratic consultants like myself, now is the time where we decide which candidate we want to work with based on who we truly believe in.
Let's see.
And who will pay us the most money.
Gruesome Newsom, what's up, big dog? Mayor Pete, or should I say Slayer Pete? Kamala.
Yeah, I have 5 minutes. The number one draft pick is obviously Gavin Newsom because he looks like the guy who plays the president in a movie.
Well,
Great thing about Newsom is he
looks like the guy who plays. He looks like Patrick Bateman. Like that's why. He looks like he's gonna, take his little skin peely suit or skin thing off and go out and like. I actually haven't seen that movie. I'm gonna be honest. That's or not Patrick Bateman. Is it Patrick? Is he the American Psycho or whatever? I forgot. But that's a movie that I actually haven't seen, so.
Because he looks like the guy who plays the president in a movie. Great thing about Newsom is he presents as a progressive, but that guy is a centrist. Yeah. He's against a billionaire tax. He doesn't want to abolish ICE. He's willing to throw trans people under the bus. And boy, oh boy, does he love getting rid of homeless people. And then on the other side of the party, we have AOC, which I don't love. She's always talking about the working class, and I'm like, we're Democrats. We haven't talked about the working class since the 1970s.
That's true.
Pete Buttigieg is any...
That's true. She can't, from a Democratic consultant perspective, she is no bueno.
Consultant's dream, because he himself was a McKinsey consultant. He's so malleable that you can just show him a poll and he will instantly adopt it as if it were his own beliefs. I remember in 2019 when Pete came up with his healthcare plan of Medicare for all who want it, and I thought that is a guy who knows how to thread the needle for what is best for regular Americans and healthcare company shareholders. Being a Democratic consultant is the best job in the world, because every time my candidate loses, they have to rehire me to find out why they lost. If I knew how to win, I wouldn't have a job anymore. Kamala Harris is the toughest consideration, because we now know...
By the way, these people, I mean, obviously this is parody or whatever, but the actual Democratic consultants or whatever need to be thrown in a lake of fire. Like, they need to get the fuck out of here. It doesn't have to be that severe or whatever, but... I always say, if you want to know, this is the craziest thing. If you want to know how to win elections, here's the answer. And I just look to Mayor Mamdani, okay? Ask people what they want, and then tell them how you will give them what they want. I know this is really complicated to the Democrats. For some reason, they cannot get this through their thick fucking skulls. Ask people what they want, and then tell them how you will give them what they want. And then follow through on giving them what they want. That's literally all it is. And then you don't have to hire these people. In fact, hire me, and I will play this video, this stream, or I'll play this clip for them, and then I will charge them $10,000 or whatever per time they want me to play that little clip for them. And they'll get a lot more bang for their buck that way.
That her support for Israel's genocide in Gaza may have cost her the 2024 election. So the voter in me is saying, I can't support a candidate who enabled a genocide, but the consultant in me is saying, I want to work with any candidate who's that dedicated to winning. So she lost. Josh Shapiro has a real chance, too. He remains a staunch supporter of Israel, even though poll after poll shows support for Israel declining among Democrats. And last year he said, I don't waffle or waver because of what the polling said. So like most Democrats, he's
going to get fucked. If he tries to run in a primary, he's going to get fucked, dude. You cannot be pro-Israel in the year of our Lord 2026.
Showing that he can ignore what voters want. J.B. Pritzker will be an interesting test case to find out how much Americans actually hate billionaires. But my thinking is the only thing that can stop a bad billionaire is a good billionaire. Just like guns. Yeah. People say that Cory Booker is a lost cause because all he does is talk, and talk is cheap. But I'm like, this is America. We love it when things are cheap. Keep an eye on John Ossoff this cycle. Ask yourself this: how is it that a young, tall, handsome United States senator has made basically zero impression on national politics in his 5 years in office? Because he's calculating the exact right time, the exact right place to say or do anything that he actually believes in. And that is...
Has he tried Neat's goatee, though? I feel like that could be I don't know if we've seen it in a while. I don't know if we've ever seen it. A presidential candidate with a goatee. Maybe we have. I don't know. I don't know every presidential candidate, but that was a funny little video. I like that. I think that's a good enough one to end on. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and call it. Thank you to everybody who watched. I hope you enjoyed it. Think we had a good time. My cat's doing okay. I'm going to go hang out with her now. Let's just keep on making the world a better place one step at a time. And if you feel like if you do happen to live in the St. Louis area and you want to go canvassing or something, uh, again, it'll happen next week on Sunday. You can probably look up the DSA of St. Louis, and they can help you get all the stuff you need if you want to do that. So um, anyway, have a good rest of your day. This has been Technically Clay, and the stream is technically over. Bye bye.